Yes, I know what you're thinking, everybody. This is a little bit too early to be talking about the cherry blossoms. I mean, it's January. It just turned 2020. It seems like 2019's cherry blossoms weren't that long time ago. And that's actually true. The 2019 cherry blossoms officially ended sometime in June in the top of Hokkaido, probably around Wakkanai, which is the most northern point of Japan. But yeah, this is the time when it actually starts. Right now, there is a cherry blossom festival going on in Okinawa. I don't think it's on this map here. I've actually got a map of the schedule for the 2020 cherry blossoms. This is one of the most asked questions that I get from now until it happens. Where should I go for the cherry blossoms? Will I miss it this year? I'm now planning my trip. John, can you help me? And the answer is yes. I can absolutely help you right now. So I'm going to show you some of the places that are very. Oh, let me get the screen mirroring on here. I'm going to show you some of the places that I think are highly ranked and that you should go to if you are coming to Japan, and why you might not want to book your trip around the cherry blossom seasons, and maybe you shouldn't even come to the cherry blossoms at all. I think that perhaps maybe there are other reasons to come to Japan besides nature. Because nature is completely unpredictable. Yeah, the weatherman can absolutely be wrong. This here is the map of Japan here, and I have the forecast behind me. I'm going to just make this the focus of this, and we're going to talk about it. Right now in Hokkaido, one of the top 3 places in Japan is Nagochuo Koen, Nagochuo Park, and their cherry blossom festival is, believe it or not, the 25th and the 26th of January. So that means the cherry blossom festival actually has already started in Japan. There is one going on. They're preparing for it right now, and it's going to be taking place in just a couple of days. It's crazy, right? I know, it's January. But hey, nothing. We can't wait for nature. Nature just happens upon us. So that's going to be happening in Okinawa. If you want to go to Okinawa and you have cherry blossom fever, you can get on a cheap flight from Tokyo, fly down to Okinawa, go to Nagochuo Park. That is the number 3 ranked location in all of Japan. And keep watching until the end, because I'm going to be telling you about number 2 and number 1. And there's a link in the description. You can find in Japanese the top 100 spots that Japanese go to for the cherry blossoms. If you're wondering where do the Japanese go, like Kanai in the thumbnail, that was at Shinjuku Gyoen, by the way, not too far away from where we're at right now in Tokyo. But that place might not be the best. I'm going to explain all of this, as well as take some of your questions in the chat. This is a live stream. The live chat is available for anybody who wants to watch on the playback on tablets and smartphones. And definitely subscribe, because there's a lot more fun to watch this live and experience it and be able to interact with one another and me as well. There's also a link in the description for a Discord chat room that we have for only in Japan. It's called Sakura Cherry Blossoms 2020. If you click in there, you can share your cherry blossom news or places that you think that you would want to go in the live chat room. And I think that a lot of other people who have been following cherry blossoms coming to Japan know a lot of good spots. So we're going to exchange information there from now until April 25th or May 1st, until the cherry blossoms are done, which is probably like June, to be honest with you. But that chat room is going to be there to help you if you're coming to Japan. Discord has been where we've been communicating a lot with our viewers, our community, so you can get information even when you're here in Japan using the Discord server. It's really, really nifty, and this is where I also get a lot of ideas. All right, so you can see on this map here, when should you come? The first question you're probably wondering is, when should you come to Japan for the cherry blossoms? The answer is not so simple, because there's not just one kind of cherry blossom. There's actually several. There's the Some Yoshino, which is the most common kind, one that's been planted by a lot of the parks, put in artificially to make tunnels and to make really beautiful areas. Now the Some Yoshino is white, and that blooms pretty much like the schedule. I would say most of this is Some Yoshino variety. There's also the Yamazakura, which is the most common in the countryside, blooming wildly, that you'll find around the country. That blooms typically around the same time, maybe a little bit earlier or later. Again, they're very fickle. You know, they don't go according to the way the weatherman wants them to, or the way we want them to. And then there's the Shidare Sakura, one of my favorites. That is the weeping willow sakura, the one that's just like sweeping views. They're usually the oldest sakura trees that you'll find around the country. Some of them going 300, 400, 500 years old. I think there's one up in Fukushima that's, I think it's 1,000 years old, they like to say. I'm not really sure, but they're very, very old. So those three are probably the most, and there's even more. There's pink ones, there's white ones, there's yellow ones. So cherry blossoms, yeah, they bloom at all different times. All different varieties bloom at different times of the year. So yeah, you might not come at the best time according to this, but my point is that you can come at any time in the area and you're going to find cherry blossoms somewhere in the country of Japan. You don't have to go on just Tokyo's schedule, okay? It's more than, Tokyo is actually it's not one of the best places to watch, in my opinion. And I know what I'm talking about. I've been here for 20 years. Trust me. We're going to go all over all of that as well in this live stream. But, all right, I want to stop for a second. Before the cherry blossoms, I want to point out a lot of people come to Japan and go, oh, I made it for the cherry blossoms. It's February. The cherry blossoms, I see these blossoms all over the temples and the shrines. Guess what? Those are ume blossoms or plum blossoms. And you're going to find those all over Japan as well. They bloom in the middle of February, just like a month away, less than a month away. We'll start to see the ume blossoms in Mito, which is just a day trip from Tokyo. Absolutely beautiful, has one of Japan's top 3 gardens, and probably the best place to see the ume blossoms, although you can see it all over Tokyo as well. They're very underappreciated. They're sometimes purple, pink. You can see some white ones, but there are different varieties of that. We're going to talk about the cherry blossoms right here. This is what you've come here to watch, and this is what you subscribe for. So, boom. There's the map of Japan. As you can see down at the bottom here, it starts down in Kyushu, pretty much. The red areas are where you're going to see the cherry blossoms first in Japan. And if we go up to here, Hokkaido, you're going to see this is the last place where they bloom. You see the green on the top there? That's the very north of Japan called Wakkanai, that area there. And that blooms typically, they told me like they have cherry blossom blooming all the way up until June. So keep that in mind. These will typically bloom around, they start to bloom around Golden Week, which is the high season in Japan. So a lot of Japanese will go up to Hokkaido to see these after, in the beginning of May. So if you've missed it in other places, you can catch the cherry blossoms all over the country. All over the country. Shane Pasha, good evening, good morning, John. When are the limited Sakura food and products usually available and released? Shane from Canada, they're released like next month, if that even makes any sense. You'll find limited editions, actually maybe even starting this month. Limited edition Sakura flavored cola, drinks, food, flavored chocolate, things like this is released now. And the best thing is to hoard them, and then you'll have them when the cherry blossoms actually hit in March and April. They're sold out usually the middle of March. It makes no sense, but there you go. So just keep in mind that cherry blossom fever starts with the products that happened months before then. So I appreciate that. And I saw another question come in here via super chat. I do really appreciate that guy. It's Jim. Hey Jim, Mendenhall. I really appreciate that, Jim. Awesome. So there you go. You kind of have an idea of what the map looks like of the entire country. Kyushu starts the earliest, and you see it from Nagasaki, starts around, they have it on this map, around March 20th, all right? They have it around March 20th. You're going to start to, that means you're going to start to see the first blossoms. That means we're not at like full bloom until about a week to 8 or 9 days after this date, all right? It's important to know this. This is the start date, not the peak date, all right? Tokyo, this is Nagoya. They says here March 22nd for Nagoya. Shizuoka is March 26th. Tokyo is March 21st. And Fukushima is April 3rd. And as you move up, you see the color changes from red, pink, light pink, orange, yellow, and then again eventually to green. Kanazawa is the 31st of March. Aomori, one of my favorite places for the cherry blossoms, is April 18th up in Tohoku. Tohoku starts blooming. Hirosaki Sakura Festival, one of my favorite places to go, starts blooming in, about the 19th or 20th of April. So that means you won't catch it until like the 25th when it's fully bloomed. That's about 2 weeks after Tokyo. 2 or 3 weeks after Tokyo. Keep that in mind. If you miss it in Tokyo, just head north or head into the mountains. Sapporo blooms April 24th, a month after Tokyo. So you can catch the cherry blossoms in Sakura over, I think but over a month after Tokyo, they start in Sapporo. And then they start over here, is that Kushiro? They start over here in Abashiri and Wakanai in the very north in May. May 10th it starts, and they probably finish close to the end of May up in the north. And they start all the way down in Okinawa in a day after tomorrow. That's crazy, right? The cherry blossoms starting the day after tomorrow. So when you ask me when is the best time to come to Japan to see the cherry blossoms, the answer is now for Okinawa. For Tokyo, maybe the 25th of March is probably the peak. 25th, 26th of March is the peak. For Tohoku, which is one of my favorite places to go, probably April 23rd, I would say. Nara, which is Nara and Kyoto, the best time to go is about 5 days after Tokyo. It starts to come into season. So Tokyo even though Tokyo is a little bit north of Kyoto, Kyoto's inside of Japan, so it's cooler there a little bit. They'll start to bloom in Tokyo a few days later, and also because of the urban heat generated from all the asphalt and all that, the trees will typically bloom a few days earlier. The first tree that blooms typically is at Yasukuni Shrine. And you can find this map. I'll put a link in the description for this map. This is the Japan weather map that they use. And we talk about it here in Japan. All the news will have this map as well. I'm going to talk about now, we talked about the trees. We talked about when you should come for the cherry blossoms. Now I want to talk about there's two things I want to hit. I want to talk about if you should even come at all during this time of year. Should you stay in Tokyo? And the top 3 places that I think you should go to. And then the 4th secret place, some of the secret tips that I've learned over the 20 years with cherry blossoms, because it will change, it could change everything knowing these things here, especially if it's your first time coming here. Again, go to the Discord server and you can share stories with all of you who are reading the chats. You can share photos and everything on the Discord server, which makes it a really good resource. And I'm going to look at the live chat at the end of this, so stay tuned. This is important, man. This is the time. This is. Some people are saying this is too early. I think this is perfect time. This is what people are talking about right now. The start of it. All right, New Year's finished. It's time for cherry blossoms. I have a map of Japan on here, and we're gonna kind of zoom in, and I'm gonna show you some of the places that where they are on the map here in Japan, so we can look at them together. All right. Cherry blossoms have 5 petals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just so you know that they can be red, pink, or white. Cherry blossoms have no one way to look, and there's hundreds of varieties. The number 3 place in all of Japan, I've already told you, is happening the day after tomorrow. Number 3 ranked is Nagochuo Park in Okinawa. Beautiful place. Highly recommend that you go there if you are in Okinawa. Make sure you head to that festival because it's the first one in there. The second top place to go is the Kawazu River, Kawazugawa in Shizuoka. And this is a wonderful place to go for a day trip. There's Tokyo. You see it on the map behind me. I'm kind of doing it weatherman style. Yeah. So you see the map behind me. There's Izu Hanto, which is right there. Right now I'm in Tokyo, and I'm going to zoom into this peninsula here. This is Izu Hanto, and right down here there's a town called Shimoda, which has some really, really beautiful onsen. There's a nice onsen with a waterfall. It's just such a natural place. These are day trips from Tokyo, by the way. Just north of Shimoda is the Kawazu River right here. Do you see the Kawazu River? Right there. And all along this river here, just filled with cherry blossom tunnels. These are some of the places. This river is where you probably see some of the most famous cherry blossom tunnels. You see them, there's not a lot of people who go out here. It's a lot less than Ueno Park here in Tokyo and Shinjuku and Shibuya. It's really quiet. The countryside is amazing to go to see the cherry blossoms. Always see the cherry blossoms away from, it's nice to see them in the city, okay? I get it, people are drinking and yeah, you want to have that experience. That's good, just try it. But it's here, out in the countryside, places like the Kawazu River, Kawazu, Kawazu, if you want to write that down. Definitely you should try to go there. It's probably about an hour to 75 minutes away from Tokyo. There are express trains. I believe the express trains will leave all the way from Shinjuku or Shinagawa. You can catch them, and they'll take you down to the Izu Peninsula. And maybe stop in an onsen, hot spring on the way, loads and loads of them. That's in Shizuoka Prefecture. That's number 2. And number 1, this is not my ranking, okay? This is just the ranking of Japan and what the Japanese feel. The number 1 place to go is a place I featured in Only in Japan already. Not Akihabara. MW Road, Akihabara. That's like all asphalt there. That's the worst place to go. That's the best place to go if you want like plastic cherry blossoms, right? The best place to go in Japan, according to Japanese, is from Kyoto. It's a day trip. Do you see Kyoto's in the map? That's Lake Biwa. Here's Kyoto right here. You want to go inland, down here. You want to go down here inland, and there's Osaka, there's Kyoto, that's Nara, and not far from Nara is a place called Yoshino Yama. Okay, Yoshino. And Yoshino Yama is every year considered Yoshino Yama, considered the number 1 spot in Japan to visit cherry blossoms. Because I made the video on this. You can just go check that out. In fact, I'll put a little link here so you can check it out yourself. It's in the mountains here. Do you see this? It will typically bloom in April. I guess all right, there's so much information on this. These cherry blossoms start there's 3 tiers to Yoshino Yama. This is very important. The first tier starts probably around the end of March. It's very beautiful. There are, I believe, tens of thousands of trees down there. Then there's a second tier, which starts to bloom around April 3rd, I want to say. And then there's an upper tier, the one that's closer to the tops of the mountains. And they're not huge mountains. Those start to bloom around April 8th or 9th. And then if you catch it at the right time, around April 7th, I think, you can see all 3 tiers still have flowers on them or starting to bloom them. And it's just completely like 100,000 Sakura trees. You can see this picture. It is one of the most beautiful things that you can see in your entire world, and it smells heavenly. And there's not a lot of people there, surprisingly. Especially on the weekdays. On the weekends, it's a zoo. On the weekdays, Yoshino Yama is the number 1 spot in Japan to go and see it. You're gonna walk and hike around temples. You're going to see every single, I think there's like every single variety of cherry blossoms. And these trees were planted hundreds of years ago, I believe. I forget the story. I made an episode on it, so in case I forgot it, you can just watch that. But what it gives you is an entry into like the wildness of the countryside with the cherry blossoms. It's not the kind of place like Ueno Park or Shinjuku Gyoen or down in Osaka, around Osaka Castle, or some of the temples and shrines in Kyoto. This is more hiking countryside kind of a feel to it. From the station, you can take a cable car that'll take you up a little bit of the ways. But all in all, I spent 2 days there just filming, and I loved every single second of it. Loads and loads of gifts that you can buy. That's where I got this. I got Sakura Do I still have it in the kitchen? I got Sakura liqueur with a Sakura cherry blossom floating in the liqueur, and it's just so beautiful. I don't want to drink it because it's so pretty. You can get that almost everywhere around Yoshino Yama. They might even make it here because they got so many trees. All in all of the stores, as well as Sakura flavored yokan, which is a Japanese confection made of like a white bean. Sometimes it's very clear. I'm not sure what it is, to be honest with you, but it's really naturally sweet. It's so delicious. They have Sakura sushi. They have Sakura flavored chocolate. They have Sakura flavored onigiri. It's pretty weird. Usually the Sakura blossoms are salted and preserved, and they might be salted for up to a year, I guess the year before, and then they're used in the confections, inside of jelly, inside of pudding, and things like this. It's so beautiful. And you can see they're doing hanami, Hanami. Hanami means picnicking in Japanese. It's like a sakura cherry blossom viewing, I guess. And hanami is pretty big in the cities, but you'll see it all over the country. You'll see people, if you just go hiking, they'll have a blue sheet or a blanket, and they'll just be sitting underneath in the middle of nature, and there'll be one or two trees underneath them, and they probably have a significant meaning to the Japanese people that are sitting underneath them. Maybe this is where they came with their mother and father who passed away, and they still go back to that spot, and then they take their kids to that spot, and then the kids take their kids to that spot, and families will go to the same tree, celebrating that tree over generations. And that's the kind of connection that I know that Japanese friends have with their neighborhood. There's certain trees, and you've seen them grow over time, that have meaning. I have so much stuff I can talk about cherry blossoms. I could completely fill like this entire hour with stories about what the cherry blossoms mean to me and to people that I know that I talk to. Yeah. So Grata Lao. I'm looking forward to another year with great stuff. Keep up the good work, and thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that's from Switzerland. Much love. Appreciated. Kanai's already gone to sleep. The thumbnail that you see of her is at Shinjuku Gyoen, which is probably one of my favorite places in Tokyo, because although it's in the middle of the city, it's also a really nice park to see a wide variety of the cherry blossoms. So if we look at the top places to go in the city of Tokyo, Shinjuku Gyoen might be one of the most popular places, but there's some caveats and things that you should consider. Many of the national parks that have entry will restrict alcohol. You cannot buy and bring alcohol into the parks, and they check the bags now. So it would be something. Shinjuku Gyoen is one of those places where you shouldn't bring alcohol in, as well as Ueno Park is another place that you might want to check out. These are places of drunkenness. Okay, it's awful, in a good way maybe, but you'll see the salarymen, and they'll stake out a place underneath the cherry trees. You're gonna see this if you come to visit. They'll stake out a place under the cherry trees, probably the lowest level worker, and the boss will say, "Go, hey you, freshman, go underneath, go to Ueno Park, get 5 blue sheets, and I want you to sit there all day and save it for the rest of us." He's that guy that was handpicked to do nothing and sit underneath the trees. And if you go in the morning, you're gonna see that poor schmo. Maybe you wanna, say hi, go get him a coffee. I don't know. I feel bad for them usually, and it's part of the Japanese culture. And he sits there all day, literally just protecting the spot like this, with his sprawled out, to making sure nobody tries to take it away. And then when the workers get off of work around 5 or 6, sometimes if they're working too late, he can be there until 8. And then it starts to rain, and he tries to protect it. I've seen all sorts of weirdness happening. But Ueno Park is one of those places where you're going to see that. As well as the Meguro River is also one of the top 10 in Japan. But the Meguro River, the problem with the Meguro River is it's so narrow, it's such a small area that it gets way too crowded. We typically don't get very good cell phone connections, so live streams don't work there. There's just too many people in that area. So the best time to go is like really late at night or early in the morning, like 5 and 6 a.m. when the sun comes up, and you can catch the light really nicely, and it's very quiet, and you can hear the birds After around 10 a.m., it gets way too crowded, and you can't really enjoy the Meguro River unless you're with friends and you're making this like a night out. Um, One of my favorite places to go in all of Japan, and I'm going to start to take some of your questions. This is a secret that I'm going to share with you, okay? For most Japanese, their favorite, if you ask them what is their favorite Sakura place, many people will say their neighborhood. They're going to say near their house, in their local area. Again, because they've grown up near this tree that they walk past. Good things have happened in their life at this time of year, and they associate that with these 2 or 3 weeks that the cherry blossoms are on that particular tree near where they live. That's usually a place that they will do hanami or cherry blossom viewing in their own neighborhoods. Not all Japanese go to all of these touristy famous spots. It's usually salarymen and workers. Families typically go to their neighborhoods, to their local parks. I went to a place called Shinozaki Park, which is where I lived before, and I enjoyed my cherry blossoms there. Zero tourists. Everybody was my neighbor. They all saw me after a couple of years. They knew who I was because I would go there with friends, a couple of friends, and I would talk with them. Because, you know, when you're drinking, people are a little bit more friendly at the Sakura time. That's great because then you get to know the people around you. Usually you'll make a ton of friends at if you decide to just get a blue sheet and spend the day outside picnicking. Almost guaranteed that you're going to make friends and people are going to invite you over and give you more food than you ever thought you ever needed in your entire life. So that's something that you might want to consider. You might be lured to go to Yoyogi Park. I tried to not go there anymore. I just think that it's not really, I don't know. You'll have your own opinions on where you want to go. I think the guidebooks tell you Yoyogi Park's a good place. I never thought it was. You go to Yoyogi Park to see people watching, to meet with friends. For the cherry blossoms themselves, not really striking to me. It's kind of a boring place. So I might go there if I'm invited to go to a party, but not for actual cherry blossom viewing. The best places are in the countryside, guys. The best places are day trips from Tokyo. The best places are not in the city, but the best places are places that have not been found on this map. The best places are maybe 1 or 2 trees and not a bunch of them, that are just magnificent trees that you find, that you are just hiking on a trail or out in the countryside that you find, and then you make your own really special spot that you can come to 5 years later to that same tree. Because there's a trees have special purposes to people. I guess you can find a tree. I think you should find your own tree and make that tree special to you. Maybe it can be in Ueno Park. I don't know. But if you're coming to Japan for the first time, try to find a tree that you like and remember where it is. Don't carve your name in it. I know that some people do that, tourists. Find a tree, come back a few years later, 5 years later, and see how that tree is doing. And you'll be tied. Then you're going to feel that connection to nature that I think the Japanese feel. When you see a tree blossom, and as beautiful as the Some Yoshino trees are, you make a friend that way. And when you come back to the cherry blossoms, maybe 5, 10, 20 years later, that tree's still there. And it's still blossoming the way it did when you were there 20 years before and you look a lot younger. The trees are still there blossoming for that moment of beauty when those cherry blossoms will just bloom and then they just kind of fall down to the ground. And to me, that's what the cherry blossoms now represent, where the awe of it being, wow, I'm in the cherry. Look at these amazing sights. Now for me, the cherry blossoms mean they're markers in time for me. A time when I first came to Japan, going back to visit some of the old places with special people. Can I have our tree? We're not going to tell you where it is, but that's what it means to me. Should you visit during the cherry blossoms? I don't know. This is one of the peak times to visit Japan. This is the time where hotels are very expensive, especially in Kyoto. Kyoto prices might spike to as much as double the price because people are going there to see them for the cherry blossoms. So I want you to think twice if this is the time. This is why. All right. the best time to come to Japan is not cherry blossoms. I'm gonna be honest with you. All right, maybe you can see the cherry blossoms once. The best time to come to Japan in most of the areas around Tokyo and Osaka is in the beginning of May, because the weather has gotten warmer, and the weather's gotten warmer. The days are a little bit longer, and the prices are a little bit, after the Golden Week holiday, the prices go down and the days are long and nice and warm. You can wear shorts a little bit more and it's cheap. It's just the best time, around May 10th. That's my recommendation to you. And if you want to go see cherry blossoms, head up to Hokkaido and you'll still see them there. But May is an incredible time of the year. I love that. I love May more and more. If you have hay fever, April's really bad for hay fever as well. So you're gonna get, not just is it kind of chilly during the cherry blossom season, it's also hay fever season. So you're gonna have a lot of pollen, a lot of runny noses, a lot of people sneezing. I don't know. If I'm being honest, May is a little bit better. The secret tip is to get out of Tokyo and go out to the countryside. Take day trips for cherry blossoms. If you're going cherry blossom hunting, I think that's actually a fun thing to do. The best place is not the place recommended in your guidebook. All right, guys? It's not the place that's in your guidebook. It's actually, the best place is the place that you find and you make special, or somebody, like an old guy in a restaurant, tells you, you got to go and see this tree. That's the best place. That's just my opinion, but I don't know. I got a lot to say about that. I'm gonna turn this on so it doesn't keep auto-locking in 30 seconds. Do you have any questions? I don't think I'm gonna be able to do that. Do you have any questions? I'm now here to take your questions about the cherry blossoms. UFO Bob's got a stream going. He's gonna be in the Discord server. Thank you, UFO Bob. Much appreciated. Has Kanai featured or just joined? Kanai is actually behind that door asleep. She had to go to bed because she's waking up earlier than me. It is now 12:45 in the morning. I just know that this is a more convenient time for people to watch. We are a little bit worried about the stuff that's going around in China, but I don't see that as being too much of a problem right now. Everyone wears masks in Japan anyways, so usually it's quite contained. I think it might be a reason to not stay too much in Tokyo then, to get out to the countryside, where things aren't so crowded. What's your plan for later today? I might do another live stream tomorrow afternoon. I'm not gonna tell you what it is yet. Taking precautions is always good for what's going around. This is also the influenza season, so I recommend, if you're visiting, you might want to wear a mask if you're getting on the trains. I know it's weird, the surgical masks. I know maybe you might not want to wear it. You don't wear it just because you're sick. You wear it so you don't get sick and ruin your trip, okay? Tokyo is one of the most populated cities in the entire world. You don't want to get sick when you're in Tokyo. You might want to wear a mask, and they have these PETA masks that Peter was wearing. They're black. They have different colors, and they're very comfortable, and they look kind of cool. You might want to pick up some of those, and that'll cut down the chance of you getting sick. It really does work. PETA mask. Thank you, Kelvin. PETA mask. Yeah, you might want to wear that. Does any fee entry for visit cherry blossoms? That's a great question. So Hakeem, I think some of the parks will charge a fee, but many of them are free. And if you go out into the middle of nature, there's no reason that you should have to pay to see cherry blossoms. The reason why you pay is because if there are groomed parks, like the one that they have in Shinjuku Gyoen, I think it's worth paying a couple dollars. I think they raised the price to go in there, and you will have a very good experience in a very beautiful park. Yeah, this is Japanese TV behind me. So you get a little bit of that in this live stream. How hot is Tokyo in mid-May? It's very, very reasonable. It's not hot. It's warm. It's the perfect spring, I think. And typically May, there's not a lot of rain. We call it Golden Week at the end of April and the beginning of May because it almost never rains. And if it does, it's just a passing shower, and you have beautiful sunshine and warm skies. Spring has broke. So I believe, I don't know, Tokyo's probably around 20 degrees, maybe. It can go anywhere between 17 and 23. And I would say there are times where it might get a little chilly at night, and it'll get sometimes warm in the middle of the day. You can bring a jacket. You can probably survive on shorts. There you go. I like as soon as March hits, I'm like in shorts all the time. March till November, I'm in shorts. You can't turn it off. Yeah. Is there any cherry blossoms in May in Sapporo? Yeah. I think that, as I said, there's no one variety of cherry blossom. The Yoshino Some, the Some Yoshino is everywhere, but there's no one variety of cherry blossom, I think, that blooms. They don't all bloom at the same time. So some varieties will bloom a little bit later, some will bloom a little bit earlier. So you'll probably find some cherry blossoms blooming in Sapporo in May. I'm almost positive. And the date that I showed you on here, let's go back to that map for a second. The date that I showed you on here on this map is actually not the date that it's fully bloomed. For those joining us right now, you see the cherry blossom map here. This is a schedule of the cherry blossoms in Japan, and the date that you see, March 21st, that's not the date that it's at full bloom. Probably the period is, I don't know, I'd say about 12 days. So from the first bloom, which I think is going to be earlier than this, probably the first bloom you're going to see around the 16th of March, I bet. And then the 21st, you'll start to see all the other trees blooming. And then around March 26th, it's going to be absolutely stunning. It's always really beautiful around March 26th. That's full bloom. Full bloom lasts from maybe the 26th until the 30th. And then the first time it rains, the first wind, and the winds in the spring are pretty strong. The first time this strong wind or rain comes, whoosh, all of them are gone. All of them that were at full bloom are gone. It's sad. If you're lucky, you get 2 weekends of full bloom. If you can catch it and it blooms on a weekend, that's when you get to the full bloom, and they hang on for those 6 days. That gets back to the weekend. Those are some really good years. Those are the years that we all remember, because then you can party for 2 weekends, and that's really good for people who are working in office jobs and have families. But that doesn't happen very often. Some years it's raining at full bloom, and you really never get to enjoy it at all. Just depends on the weather. It can rain for 5 straight days during the full bloom, and they all wash away into the river, and you didn't get a chance to see much at all. So then what do? You get on the Shinkansen and you go up north and you get another chance, or you saw them earlier. Yeah. So that's actually not the map of full bloom. That's the map when it starts to bloom. All right, just so you know. Yeah, it's kind of it's a good map to have printed out, so then you can see where it happens. These are good questions. What's your favorite place to watch the cherry blossoms? Franklin, there was a I put this in a video on the main channel, but there was a place that I used to go to in my park in Shinozaki, and I have a connection with one of the trees there. I really love trees. I kind of a tree hugger. I don't always hug the trees, but I can have relationships with the trees in appreciation, and I think there's one tree in that park that I haven't seen in I think I saw it 2 years ago. I didn't see it last year. Maybe I'm going to go back to go and see it, but I would go at night, like at 9 p.m., and I would take this light. You see this light here? I would crank it up to full, all right, to 100%, like that, and at night, I would move the light around the tree, and then that's when the beauty of the cherry blossoms really come out, when you bring a light and illuminate the trees. Some places around Japan will actually illuminate the cherry blossoms at night. A lot of the festivals, they put chochin or paper lanterns all along the riverside. It is stunning. Some of them will even have LED spotlights shining up into the trees to show the glory of it. And at night, when these white cherry blossom tunnels they are like illuminated just brilliantly, it looks as though it snowed in April. It looks like it's the perfect snow on these trees. That is what you have to go and look for. That's what you probably see in places like down in Shizuoka, down in Yoshino, down in the mountains, all along the Sea of Japan side. There's places like that. And that's when I was hitchhiking in 2017. We would stop, the rides would stop, and we would go and we would spend like 10, 15 minutes just going like, I cannot believe that I'm here right now. That kind of a situation. And there's like nobody there, right? There's nobody there. Those are the places that you want to go and try to find. And then that's when you have that connection. Cherry blossoms is a connection with nature, okay? It's not really about getting drunk and partying and hanami, and that's one side of it. That's what office workers do. But if you are not, if you are me, that doesn't work. And if you appreciate nature, you're going to want to do it. You do it the way I'm telling you to do it because it means something to you. And most people, as they get older, and if you have kids, and if you have families, then you kind of change, and you see the beauty in nature, the way that the samurais saw it. The beauty lasts such a little amount of time, and you connect with that. You can connect with it if you just give it time, I don't know. I've lived around these trees for a long, long time, almost half my life. These are good questions. Michael writes in here, are there any special events going on during cherry blossoms, such as food festivals and entertainment? Michael, the number one, this is the Only in Japan Go channel. A lot of you have been subscribed. Definitely click the thumbs up if you like these informational Q&A. The number one live stream that I did, I believe the most fun one was on this channel. And it was at April 26th, 2017. Go back in the archives. Find one on Hirosaki Park at night. Find it at Hirosaki Park at night. You'll know what I'm talking about. That is a festival. Hirosaki in Aomori in April 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, like at that time, is awesome. It is so freaking awesome. I love that park. There are Americans up there. I believe there's an Air Force base, so you get some Americans, and there's some expats, not a lot, that go up there. It's incredible. It's huge. It's all around Hirosaki Castle, which isn't too big. You don't go there for the castle. Oh no. The grounds around it, stunning. And tons, and I've never seen so much street food, except a couple of weeks ago at the Tokyo Dome. Street food, every kind of street food. And it's like Aomori street food. It's bigger, it's fresher. It's just like, I don't know, you have to go to Hirosaki. If you were here in April, you gotta go to Hirosaki. It's the place, it really is the place, I think. Yoshino is ranked number one, but for festivals, Hirosaki is amazing, all right? Hirosaki is amazing. Tons and tons of festivals. If there's a chance to sell street food, they're gonna do it in Japan. They do it. Paul remembers that video. That was the video where the motorcycle rider was going inside of a drum, and I had 1,000 yen, and I go like this with 1,000 yen, and the motorcycle dude, he goes like this, and he takes the money out of my hand, just like that. It was gone. He just took my money. It's like, psh, and he was taking other people putting 1,000 yen in from the ledge into the barrel, and he kept taking the money. It was amazing. The guy must have made like $200, but totally worth it. I gotta go back and see that guy. All right, I got a connection with the tree. I got a connection with that motorcycle dude. Awesome. Like I was freaking out, man. In fact, just watching that live stream. In fact, I could probably find it. Hold on. You want to see it? All right. I think I can find it. I don't know. I got this new TV, so I figure. I even put Only in Japan on the player here. It's pretty cool. There's a live stream I'm watching right now. I guess I gotta search it, right? I don't know if it's one of the most watched ones, but I gotta go in here and organize these a little bit better. It might have been one of the older ones. I know it's one of the older ones. It's hard to find it. Oh, here it is. Hirosaki. HIROSAKI. Oh, here it is. That's it. That's it right there. No way. No, it's too late. That's it. That's it. That's the one. Look at that. Did you ever see anything like this? This is the cherry blossoms. Look at the dude's giving the 1,000 yen. Watch, he's gonna take the money.
Come on, motorbike dude. Get it.
And then he puts the flag on his head. That's cherry blossoms, man.
He got the money. He got the money.
That was too.
He got the money.
He got the money.
Awesome.
Look, he's got dude no hands.
Bobby, no hands. Did you see that? No hands.
That was the most epic of all of them. That's the best. You gotta watch that live stream. I'm surprised that one's not like at like 10 million. It's the most funnest I've ever had in like the entire history of like this channel. Like I've never been in a place where I didn't expect it at all. You couldn't see what was going on. You go in there and the dude is riding like inverted, taking money. Who does that? That guy. Awesome. Best experience. And I made so many friends there. You always making friends at these cherry blossom festivals. It's awesome. It's like the tension is broken. Japanese are usually very shy, but when they had one or two drinks, they open up a little bit and the magic happens with talking. I made these friends that were really old, like in their 60s, and there's one where the women just disappeared like ghosts. It's like weird. They're hanging out with me. I turned around and they're gone. I was looking for them. That's another live stream in the same set. So yeah, but that's the story. And remember the haunted house, right? There's a haunted house in this 5 minutes after I left this place. It was crazy haunted house, and they do it every year. That dude was there. I Instagrammed him. He was there last year, and maybe I'll take Kanai up there to go and check it out, just because she's got to see this. It's crazy. It's the most amazing thing that I've ever seen, maybe. I've seen some pretty amazing things, but that was pretty cool. The motorcycle video. Oh, UFO Bob put it in there. You just put the link there. How cool is that? Hey, Zato71, much appreciated. I think Zato71, you might have been there at that time watching. I know we have like 170,000 subscribers, but there's, I think I only had about like 7,000 subscribers when I was doing this one here. There weren't that many, but yeah, a lot of you have been watching for a very long time, and much appreciated. Yeah, I appreciate that. How do you think Japan is a combination of Southeastern Islands and Korean? That's a tough question. I'm not the one to really ask about that. I know a lot about tourism in the areas, but Japan is a combination of Southeastern Islands and Korean and Chinese and Mongolian, and it's like a combination of a lot of stuff. Maybe even up in Hokkaido, the Ainu. There's a lot of mixing that's really happened amongst the clans down in Kyushu, up in Aomori. There's villages that are 10,000 years old up in Aomori, and there's places they say Japan started down in Tottori Prefecture and down in Ise. So I don't know too much about that, but I do know that the Japanese language is adopted from Chinese and the kanji, and the roots. There's a lot of similarities with Korea, and there's a lot of similarities in culture with China, and the two countries should be much better friends than they are now. That's all. The history of these three countries goes a lot deeper than just World War II. My triad piece. And some Native American. You know, Shane, a friend of mine who moved here when I was an English teacher, one night we were out at dinner and she said something funny. She said, you know, sometimes Japanese really remind me of Native Americans with the bone structure and stuff. And I never thought about that. And maybe she had something there. Maybe it was just the booze talking, because this is like 20-some years ago. But I don't see that anymore. I just see people now. But the first time I came to Japan, I was pretty freaked out because America is pretty diverse and everyone here was Japanese. It's weird. You know, because this is Japan, that there's going to be a lot of Japanese here. But in 20 years ago, everyone was Japanese. It was like everyone was shorter than me. Almost everybody was shorter than me, and everyone was kind of looked the same in the style and the fashion, and they were all Japanese, and that just was freaky to me. That was cool. Now you see more variety because there's a lot of tourists here. I think there's less than 1 million tourists that came to Japan, and now there's like 30 million, so it's a big change. Most of those are from China, by the way. What is the news coverage of the Hong Kong protests? I don't know. I don't think that there's too much I haven't seen it in any of the news reports. Let's keep it on topic about the cherry blossoms, yeah? Yeah, that's the one where the apple fell out of my mouth. I bit the apple. The apple fell into the gutter. How you doing? Let's get some questions on the cherry blossoms, or I'm gonna have to end this. Will you do a cherry blossoms live streams with Kanai? I think I will, MW. We'll probably do 1 or 2. I usually do like a week of cherry blossoms. Some people do like Christmas vlogs. I do cherry blossoms. I'm crazy about it. Probably do a couple with Kanai if we can find a nice place. We'll take you there to share the experience together. I want to take you at night once with the light and show you how special the cherry blossoms are at night. If I can do that, that'd be pretty cool out in the countryside, not in Tokyo, okay? I'm gonna take you somewhere special. Hi, John. I'm traveling to Tokyo, but I have 1 free day. Very cool. You should always have a free day. I think the best thing to do in Tokyo is to not have any plans and just wander around. Ishigaki, yeah, Ishigaki-jima is, I've been there. It's very nice. Least touristy place to enjoy it. Mark, go out to a mountain and just find one. They're everywhere. Go along rivers and find like where some guy had planted them 30 years ago, and they're still there, and they're beautiful, and they're mature, and there's nobody around, and you're like, how can nobody be around here? But you'll find that. Rent a bicycle and ride around the countryside with a bicycle. So beautiful. Go out to Toyama, go out to Kanazawa, actually there's a lot of tourists in Kanazawa. Go out to Okutama in Tokyo. Okutama, just take a train out to the countryside of Tokyo and rent a bicycle for the day with a battery so you can maybe take it easy a little bit, and just, you'll see so many beautiful things. You want to be out in nature with the cherry blossoms. You do not want to be trapped in the city. You want to be feeling the fresh air around you and hearing the birds and hearing the nature. You can't do that in the city. You're honking and drunk people and people yelling "Irashaimase" as they're trying to sell you street food. Yeah. In Hokkaido, what's the best place for cherry blossoms? That's tough. Hakodate probably is one of the best. But, Hokkaido is such a natural place. I don't think that it's very hard to pin one down. The ranking list that's in the description are places that are established places, areas that Japanese love to go to. They might be places to also avoid. I really think that you're going to find cherry blossoms when you ride the Shinkansen from Tokyo to Osaka. You're going to see them all over the countryside, and you're going to want to just get off the train so much just to go and see, oh, I see cherry blossoms. That's what I'm talking about. Go along a river, go into the mountains, go along a lake. Lake Kawaguchi is also a beautiful place. Hakone is pretty nice. You get the views of Mount Fuji. A lot of people like to incorporate that, views of Mount Fuji with the cherry blossoms. That's also very nice. Shizuoka and Yamanashi are very popular. They bloom typically about 10 days after Tokyo, okay? About 8 to 10 days after Tokyo. So they don't start to bloom until March 30th, and then probably full bloom around April 3rd or 4th. So you don't have to be in Tokyo. Don't worry about missing them if you're a few days late, but you could be early. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to book your trip around it. Take a few more questions. Click the thumbs up button if you like these types of live streams and encourage me. Worst place to see the cherry blossoms? That's a good question. The worst place. I would say, for me, I don't like the Meguro River. I've seen it once. When I go back there, it's too crowded. I don't like Ueno too much. It's too crowded. I can't connect with the nature. Yasukuni has changed. It's too crowded. just Tokyo is not the best place. I don't want to say there's a worst place. How can such a beautiful tree have a worst place? They're just different environments. It's a good question. I don't think there's a worst place. But I'll tell you what the worst. I'm not a fan of Yoyogi Park, for the cherry blossoms. I think it's a great park to talk with people. It's like going to, I don't know, like Union Square, and saying, "Oh, look at the wonder." Cherry blossom. That's not a fair comparison. But cherry blossoms are best in nature, and Yoyogi Park it's not. It's a people park. Yogi Park is not a nature park. It's a people park. You go there for people and friends, and you don't go there to just see the trees. But it's not a bad thing. Which color cherry blossoms look the best? That's I don't know. Everyone's different. Some people like pink. I like the Somei Yoshino, and that's why they're planted a lot, because it looks like snow. But there's no one that's better than the other. Can I be honest with you? I like this ume blossoms. I like the plum blossoms because they're so underappreciated, and I'm an underdog lover. I always cheer for the underdog. I cheered for Rocky in the first two movies, and then in the first movie, and then I was kind of cheering for Apollo in the second one. I don't know, because it seemed like, I don't know. I always cheer for the underdog. Rocky wasn't always. I never thought that Rocky was always the underdog. The ume blossoms are the underdog. Not a lot of people appreciate them. It's the same as the cherry blossoms, and they come out in about 3 weeks from now. So I kind of like them, and it's colder, but they look kind of the same, just different. You know what I'm saying? What about apple tree blossoms? There's lots of blossoms. There's even a TV show in the 80s called Blossom I used to watch. It wasn't too bad. It's a pretty interesting show. Any other questions? We're going on 1 hour. I wanted to end this in an hour. I like the animated emojis are pretty cool. That's from Barath Kata. Thank you. Thank you. What's on TV? Just, I don't know, some screensaver now. Bicycle live streams. I can probably do that in the countryside. What is the best cherry blossom place when at a ryokan? MW, these are tough ones. I think every ryokan that's reputable has cherry blossoms not too far away. It's just part of the history of the ryokan. Ryokans are usually like a century old often, and they usually will have planted beautiful cherry trees, sakura trees around it. So I can't say for sure. There are too many. I do have a connection with Fukushima, and I know that the name might scare some people. It's a huge prefecture. Right now, it's under visited because of, the name just is synonymous with the disaster. I wouldn't get within 50 kilometers of there, but let's just say you get into the mountainsides and you're as safe as you were in Tokyo. There's so many wonderful, wonderful places in Fukushima, which used to be the place where you would go. One of the largest cherry sakura trees is there, as well as some of the most beautiful ryokan with amazing cherry blossoms up there. And they're usually priced cheaper because of that, just supply and demand. It's a bargain. Hana Kanzashi, which is one that at Date Onsen, I introduced it in the ryokan video on the main channel. Awesome place with an amazing private bath in it, and very expensive, and I didn't actually stay there. They just let me use it for a couple of hours to film. When you come into Bondi Beach, I lived, Sydney Vloggers, I lived on Bondi Beach, 1999 at the Backpackers there. Not by the Bondi Beach Hotel, but I guess there used to be a fish and chips place there. I guess the bus would come down there, and there was a place you go to the left after the bus came from the city. There was a Backpackers I believe it's no longer there. I spent a month there. Was working on the beach doing shaved ice and selling that to other backpackers to try to make money to stay in Sydney during the millennium. And I was there during 2000. I might have snogged, which is this term that means kissed, the daughter of Angus Young of AC/DC. and she invited me to the party that they're having on the other side of the bay, and didn't go because my friends were in town. This happened very quickly. Was it snogging? I don't know what that word means, but I snogged, and she said that she could have been lying, but it seemed like it could have been right. Could have been wrong. That was like ages ago. Just keep this between us now. Smooching, I don't know what it was. It was like another lifetime ago. But she said she was the daughter of Angus Young. It was at a club in Sydney, not far from Darling Harbour. And she invited me. They said that AC/DC had rented all these hot tubs, and they were going to watch the fireworks from hot tubs across the bay. And instead I went with my friends because that was more important than I should have gone. Don't know, it's tough. I've had a pretty strange, interesting life. Get a lot of stories. It's true. It's true. All right, what else you got? Thunderstruck. I don't know. This is another lifetime ago. It's like 20 years ago, man. 20 years ago. John was invited to a famous place and did a live stream. Didn't John? I think I've been invited to a lot of places. No any cherry blossom areas in Okinawa? Well, of course, Nagachuo Park is a number 3 ranked place in Okinawa, and the festival is the day after tomorrow. It's started already. Anything else? Last question. That's it. Come on, guys. Really? What happened to that abandoned ryokan? That's not cherry blossom. When's the next midnight snack run? This month, I will do one. What opening and ending song are used for the Only in Japan animation? I'm not sure yet. Onsen Village? Oh, samosa or sushi? Just stop that. A samoshi. Can I do that? It's a samosa sushi. A samoshi. Onsen Village? I don't want to tell you my favorite onsen village because then you're gonna go there and ruin it. I don't know. I don't know if I know some of you well enough. That's a very intimate thing to share. Like, where do you hang out? I don't have that kind of. I don't have enough cards to give to people. I don't want to tell you all the inside secrets. All right. Now I'm not gonna tell you. I'm gonna wait. Just subscribe. I will spill the beans, but I don't want to give this one out. Not until I've taken Kanai, and then I'll do a live stream from there, and then you will know because you saw this. All right. So when you know and I say that, remember this live stream, and that'll be the secret onsen village. You got it? All right. Everybody, if you have any more questions, I highly recommend that you go to the Discord server and download that. It's an awesome thing. We are actually down to 29 Nitro boosts, so if you can boost this server, it would be very helpful. Every month I give 2 postcards. I send them out to Discord boosters. It's greatly appreciated. We like our boosters because then we get a vanity URL and everything. But you need 30 boosters, and we have 29, which kind of stinks. So boost our server. We also have Instagram. The Kit Kat last Kit Kats will be going out. I've already sent Kit Kats for the first 2 people. Two of the 3 people. The first person that hasn't responded yet, and I have 2 more bags to send out sitting right there on the floor for the Kit Kat thing. So if you have replied, you still have a chance. Those are going out soon. And I'm going to be doing a live stream probably later on this afternoon in about 12 hours or so and take you on another area of the city. And I'm going to Hokkaido from February 2nd to 10th. Kanai is going to join me at the Snow Festival for a couple of days. Maybe we'll do a meetup there to say hi. It's going to be pretty cool, literally. It's like -5 degrees there. And I'll be making another episode and the Sapporo Yuki Matsuri. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Tons and tons of content that's coming up, and as well as a new channel. And I'm very, very excited for 2020. It's an amazing year. I do appreciate the support on Patreon, patreon.com/onlyinjapan. The new postcards. I still have 5 Olympic postcards with Olympic stamps if you're interested, and 2 daimyo spots open if you're interested in getting packages from Japan. I've got 2 spots that I can send you a package if you're interested. Once it's sold out, though, it's over. I can't send any more than than what's there. I can't take on. I just do it for a small group of people that are special. Yeah, there you go. Maybe Kanae will join us tomorrow. But I'm going to bed. Really appreciate it, guys. Once again, give us a thumbs up if you thought this was very useful information for you. If you're thinking about coming to Japan, leave a comment in the description below, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.